Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, week 3 is just about in the books as we come on the airwaves this evening, sir. Welcome to you. Welcome to the Verballerhood. We have a lot to discuss. This was sort of an insane week of college football. It is still somewhat insane as it is not fully over. Being so, we are recording this at midnight Eastern time. Hello to everybody watching live on YouTube. But at least with the decent sample we have so far from week 3, kind of off the hook. Pretty
Crazy
good week of football.
Loved it for a lot of different reasons. It is cute that you think that Minnesota Cal isn't going to end at 2 a.m. in the weirdest possible way. I think that's adorable. But yes, you are correct that it's mostly in the books as we are streaming, recording, whatever. YouTube.com/solidverbal. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you follow, subscribe anywhere you're listening to this. But yes, it seemed constant. It seemed every few seconds something insane happened or something game-changing, season-changing happened, or DJ Lagway just threw an interception. Every few seconds, something. It was great.
It was wild, man. I was following along with our Verballerhood out at verballers.com in our Discord. I'm told that we exchanged something north of 6,000 messages in our game day channel throughout the course of today because it was so crazy and there was so much to discuss. Verballers.com, again, is where you can go if you want to sign up and vote in the Verballer Top 12 poll, which will certainly be impacted by much of what we witnessed today in week 3. Also, for those interested, got a new hat here.
Oh,
I've been
that's
teasing
true.
this for a while. Yeah, man. Merch.solidverbal.com. Yep, it's up there. If you go to the merch store, you can check it out. If you're watching the YouTube video, I think after the fact, you might see a link down below it as well. If you are one of those folks watching the YouTube video after the fact, I would encourage you to drop a comment and let us know down in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from week 3, what your biggest surprise was from week 3. We want to hear from the Verballerhood, Dan. We have a lot to discuss here. Of course, there were big games that we knew about going in. The Georgia Tech Clemson, the Georgia Tennessee, the LSU Florida, the Notre Dame Texas A&M. There were a bunch of other ones, though, that throughout the course of the day popped up and certainly are going to have an impact as we go through the remainder of the season. These are games now as we're 3 weeks into the season. You can start pointing to these and saying, all right, well, no longer is it week 1. No longer is it week 2. You've had enough time to work through some of these kinks. And in some cases, teams emerged from those. In others, it was more of the same. Where should we start here with week 3? What were your big, broad, general themes for what we saw this week?
Overtime, almost overtime, teams being scared, teams losing. I mean, top teams or top-ish teams. I want to start with Texas A&M Notre Dame. I don't have takeaways. I just want to go. I just want to talk games. I want to get in Tyler Hildenbrandt emotion. Texas A&M basically wins at the gun. Notre Dame had a few seconds to try to make something happen. The final score is 41-40. I think there's going to be a lion's share of the blame placed on Tyler Buchner unfairly. It is a big moment that he messed up. There were a lot of big moments in this game. The game-winning pass from Marcel Reed to... oh, God, I forget his name. He was like a blocking tight end. It was his only catch of the night. Well, you can fact check me on his name. It starts with a B, I believe, his last name. Notre Dame's defensive line got tackled by Texas A&M's offensive line, which I've perused the rule book. Seems not allowed, but if it's not called, it's not a penalty. And so here we are. Notre Dame goes down 41-40 in a top 25 matchup at home to Texas A&M. And Mario Craver may still be running.
Yeah, Mario Craver had an enormous game.
Yeah, I got that totally wrong, by the way. Hand up right here. I thought Texas A&M was going to struggle with some smaller receivers to out-physical Notre Dame's secondary, and those dudes were running loose, especially in that first half.
They were. There were a lot of big plays in this game.
Yes.
And there was certainly more offense than I think we saw coming. Nate Borkirker, I believe is the name that you're looking for.
Okay.
The blocking tight end who caught the game-winning touchdown pass with about 13 seconds left from Marcel Reed. A really nice game-winning drive led by Marcel Reed. And assisted by some penalties or assisted by some non-calls, I guess, in some cases. But nonetheless, we got to this point through just an incredible series of events down the stretch, Dan. I mean, it culminated sort of with Tyler Buckner fumbling the snap on the go-ahead touchdown, or I should say after the go-ahead touchdown, the ensuing extra point. And then Texas A&M was able to drive the field relatively quickly, got some big plays, got down there, scored with 13 seconds left, kicked the extra point. They eventually get the dub 41-40. I am struck by how much offense there was in this game. Honestly, it was completely counter to what I think you and I expected coming in. And we saw flashes really from both sides. Marcel Reed, I thought, had a really good game. Was never going to be like the world's most efficient passer, but that's sort of not his game. He's always a threat to run. Yeah. He was able to deliver the ball on time when it mattered to receivers who mattered, who were running open in space. You mentioned Craver. Craver had a monster game for Texas A&M. And as I'm sitting here watching this as a Notre Dame fan, I'm wondering, where's the vaunted secondary? Where is the secondary? Oh, is Christian Gray getting burnt again? Feels like that's been a recurring theme dating back to some moments last season. The Notre Dame defense is not what it was a year ago. They're still working in some new pieces. They are still kind of finding their way with a new defensive coordinator. And so it's going to be a very good defense, I think, by the time all is said and done, but it's not there yet. And Texas A&M, when you've got a line like A&M does, when you've got a stable of running backs like A&M does, and when you've got a quarterback who is that big of a threat, it's going to put a defense on skates.
Just a playmaker. He's just a playmaker. Yeah,
absolutely a playmaker. I mean, he finished, Marcel Reed did, with 360 passing yards in this football game, which is not something either you or I had on the bingo card. There's just no way. I expected that they would come in here and try to assert their dominance on the ground, which to some extent they were able to do in key spots. Like Le'Veon Moss, he had 3 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, they only rushed for $128, but I did not expect the success through the air that we ended up seeing from Texas A&M.
No, well, it's nice that an SEC team from Texas has a good quarterback, so that's cool.
It might be the only one, man.
Hey, who knows?
It might be the only one.
Long season.
So, I mean, granted, A&M was a bit mistake-prone. They committed 13 penalties in this football game. I mean, they also had a turnover. It was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but when you go into hostile territory, you got to find a way to win. And Texas A&M, I really admire their stick-to-itiveness down the stretch, because there were multiple back-breaking calls that went against them, notably the one on that kickoff return right after Notre Dame went ahead late in the game. And they kept their chins up. They kept fighting. They found a way to get down the other end of the field and score with 13 seconds left. So I think a lot of credit goes to Marcel Reed and certainly Mike Elko.
Didn't have a ton of time there. It was under 2 minutes is when that drive started, way back in their own territory. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do that if you've got a strong culture. And I give Mike Elko a ton of credit for going to Notre Dame and getting the revenge after they lost at home last season. So,
by the way, sorry, continue. Finish your thought.
I mean, it's disappointing on the Notre Dame side. I could probably talk to him blue in the face on the Notre Dame side, but I think credit where it's due. Texas A&M had their backs against the wall, and they found a way to get it done with virtually no time left. So credit to them. I like them coming into the year. I didn't want them to win this game, but I think it sort of underscores the point that this is a team that you should not take lightly, especially since it seems like so much of college football is up in the air.
So Texas A&M now has a signature out-of-conference win, especially if things get murky at or near the top of the SEC, or at large playoff stuff. If we're in that line of thinking, or just in a vacuum, Texas A&M has one of the best, if not the best, out-of-conference victories this year, going to Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, if we think they're vaguely in the neighborhood where we thought they were going to be when we were talking about them in August, the USC game looks like a playoff play-in, eliminator for Notre Dame as they start the season 0-2. Hard to fathom a universe in which a 9-3 Notre Dame gets into the college football playoff, but I'm ahead of my skis here. I'm over my skis here. Notre Dame needs to finish these games because they're putting themselves in position to do so, and just not getting it done. So there you go. 41-40 A&M.
That's it, and that's all. And look, I mean, I think it's apparent watching CJ Carr that he's the real deal. CJ Carr is very calm in the pocket. He is still green, though. He still makes some curious decisions, still has that different relationship with intentional grounding or near intentional grounding than most quarterbacks around college football, still trying to make a play when it's clear that there is no play to be made.
Right.
He will get better. And clearly what we have seen just in the first 2 games for Notre Dame this year, I think, is leaps and bounds better in terms of downfield passing than we saw last season, maybe even in the last couple seasons. Right. So I'm really encouraged by what we see out of him. I like the fact that they got Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price a lot more involved. I don't love the Wildcat stuff that they were doing incessantly in this game, but
I mean, they got a big 4th down conversion.
They did.
That.
To their credit, they did. I like the fact that they turned the ball back over to their better players in this game and didn't kind of go with the RPO approach that they did against Miami. But it may just be that Notre Dame is going to be this kind of team that gives up more points than we saw a year ago.
Yep.
That isn't quite as clutch as they were a year ago. Could end up going 9-3, maybe even 8-4 by the time all is said and done. A very good team at a bare minimum. Remains to be seen if they can improve, as you said, if they can finish games, if they can take that next step. It's tough, I think, if you're ND to get into the playoff with 2 losses, but there is obviously a lot of season in front of them.
Let's go to 2 more quality SEC quarterbacks who dueled it out to the very end. Gunnar Stockton, Joey Aguilar, overtime, 44-41. Georgia comes out on top somehow, some way. I don't believe Georgia fans fully believe that they won this game, all things considered, with how it ended, but I assure you they did. I've seen confirmations. Georgia did 38 different things that usually ends up submarining huge games on the road in the SEC. And yet it worked out for Georgia because they stuck with it. Gunnar Stockton made plays. The receivers made plays. The running backs made plays. The defense obviously made a plenty of plays. Also gave up some big ones to Tennessee through the air, notably 2 enormous ones to Chris Brazzell, sort of 50-50 jump balls down the field for touchdowns. But Georgia just sort of stayed around and hung around and started poorly, seemed to end poorly, and then figured out a way to get it done in the end. What a wild, wild game.
This was an insane football game.
Yeah.
It was such a good game. And I talk about 6,000 chat messages being sent in our Discord. A lot of those came during this one because this game was just crazy. So to your point, Tennessee ripped through Georgia on 8 plays and scored a touchdown on the opening drive. They scored on their next 2 drives. They scored touchdowns in their first 3 drives. They were up 21-7 in the first quarter. Herbie, I thought, put it best on the broadcast when he said at the moment, anyway, it wasn't trickery. They were just beating them. They're just outright beating them. They were better. They had a better game plan. They seemed composed. They seemed like they were doing well. Joey Aguilar started 14-14 for 213 and 2 touchdowns.
Damn,
at this point, we're watching this game. I here alone in my studio, you, I'm assuming in yours, typing with people online, and it feels like this is the kind of game that could get out of hand. But then Georgia does the thing that Georgia has done really well under the Kirby Smart regime, and that is they grew into the game.
Yep.
They made adjustments. They didn't panic. And despite all the success on the Tennessee side, it didn't really take them out of their own game. You never really got a sense of desperation here. And so as these things go, Georgia came screaming back. They came screaming back, Dan. It ended up being, as you said, an incredible back and forth overtime thriller. For the life of me, I cannot get over the throw that Gunnar Stockton decided to make.
Oh, 4th down?
On 4th and 6. 2 minutes, 32 seconds left in this football game. It is all on the line. Just an absolute dime down the right sideline to London Humphreys for a 28-yard touchdown.
Over the shoulder, by the way.
Over the shoulder. Dan, the stones you need to try and make a throw like that in a situation like that. I posted this online. I won't even try that in a damn video game.
Right.
So kudos to him,
life.
man.
I mean, your labrums are at an all-time level.
My labrums are shredded.
Yeah.
But I can still throw in the video game, and I still ain't making that throw.
It was unbelievable.
So kudos to him. And again, kudos to Georgia for finding a way to ease back into this thing, getting some stops again. This is a high-scoring affair. This is not a shutdown defensive effort on either side of this. But on the Georgia side, just finding a way to get it done. Finding a way to get this one in the win column, I think, is a huge feather in Kirby Smart's cap. And look, it goes both ways. Like, there were impressive elements of what Tennessee did as well. Certainly the way they started. I thought their defensive line was really good for a good chunk of this game. They were getting pressure on Gunnar Stockton, but ultimately it's Georgia, maybe with their experience both on the field and in the coach's box. What else can you say about this one? It's a heartbreaker if you're a Tennessee fan.
No, I think, look, Tennessee looked terrific. There were mistakes on both sides of the ball for the Vols and obviously mistakes on both sides of the ball for Georgia. I think one of the interesting things was Georgia going down like they did 21-7 in the manner in which they did, with Tennessee going over the top, with Tennessee just going right at them. It became clear that you were going to need to score more points than usual if you're Georgia to beat Tennessee. And so there had to have been some sort of inward Bobo look, which don't Google that, by the way.
No.
Where Georgia said, if we're going to win this game, we need to explore the depths of this playbook and ask Gunnar Stockton to take shots, right? To play fearlessly. We're going to need plays from these receivers. Zachariah Branch had a great touchdown catch and run, sort of a screen out wide that he was able to navigate. Yeah.
Was there a memo that went around that we missed? We're on the broadcast. They're calling him Zach Branch and not Zachariah.
I did hear that. I refuse. I think Zachariah Branch.
I like Zachariah. It sounds more stately. Continue.
No, that was it. That, it forced Georgia out of its early season offensive malaise, thinking it could just get it done playing safely. And it was clearly not the case against Tennessee. And, I always feel bad for the college kickers. And man, oh man, I think it was ABC, right? Was who actually broadcast this game with the ESPN ABC crew.
Correct.
They had like rows and rows of screens in the production trailer of sad fans ready to roll. Sad fan A, stand by, take sad fan A. Sad fan B, stand by, take sad fan B. Like, they were all over Neyland Stadium with the sad Vol fan shots in a way that almost feels like they have too much money for too many cameras to capture that much sadness in or it's not 4K. It's up converted 1080p. Let's be clear.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to cut the reverbs a little bit early because Shay's out of town. And so I didn't capture all of the messages that came in, I'm sure, talking about Notre Dame, Texas A&M. I didn't capture many of them, to be honest with you. But I got a bunch of Georgia, Tennessee messages that are going to be at the end of the segment this week. So if you are a Tennessee fan, I apologize in advance. I'm not making all these calls. It's just what comes in. We did get one talking about Max Gilbert, the kicker for Tennessee, and how he looked, at least to one observer, before going out there on the field. This gentleman was confident that there was going to be a miss just looking at his face.
Yeah.
Look, I can't speak to that. He kicked 2 other field goals in this game. He made 5 extra points. So it was just
including a field goal in overtime, a clutch,
including a field goal in overtime. So it wasn't just a terrible effort. It was just a terrible moment.
Yep.
And Tennessee had this game. I think if you're a Vols fan, the one bit of solace that you take away from this is the fact that you were good enough to win this game. You're absolutely good enough.
You don't take solace in that.
I know you don't. There are no maybes. And I'm in the same boat, by the way.
Yeah.
Notre Dame being 0-2.
It makes it hurt even more.
It does, but I think I would rather that than just getting completely annihilated and feeling like you got to hit the reset button from week to week.
No, I think there's stuff in between that, but yeah, I mean, that's emotional disembowelment at the end of that game.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was absolutely tough. 44-41 was your final in overtime. The other big one that we talked a lot about in the buildup to week 3 was the Florida LSU game.
Yes.
Not a high scoring affair. Again, kind of counter to what we've come to know out of LSU these last couple seasons, right?
Right.
We're used to the high powered offense. We're used to no defense. This year, it feels like, at least in the early going, it's completely flipped. 20-10. Was that the final in this game?
I believe so.
20-10. 5 picks, was it, for DJ Lagway?
Yes.
That's not going to be good for the tour. It's not going to be good at all.
No, He sort of had his tin cup game for Florida.
I
Right?
don't
That was the
know.
movie I'm thinking of with Kevin Costner constantly coming up
Ball,
short. Yeah.
ball,
Yeah.
ball. Yeah, 5 of them
Yep.
in this game. Then what were your big takeaways from this one?
My biggest takeaway was I'm excited to watch this game in more detail because there was a ton happening at the same time with some of the delays that happened earlier in the day from the lightning delays. Um, I thought Garrett Nussmeier was pretty good. I'm still wondering whether or not LSU is going to figure out how to run the ball this year. There was a long Caden Durham run I saw, but otherwise,
Not really, right?
not much on the ground for LSU. And obviously, credit Florida's defense who made plays in this one. But I don't know. LSU is doing a really good job of playing boring football this season. Like they were more successfully boring against Clemson, more successfully boring against Florida, right? Like going into the season, if I were to tell you that one of these quarterbacks between DJ Lagway and Garrett Nussmeier was just trying too much, forcing too many throws downfield, and threw a comical number of interceptions, you might think that's like leaning Nussmeier. But unfortunately for Florida, it just was not their night. The turnovers were killer, and LSU just, it's not all on DJ Lagway. The LSU defense has very much come to play this season. They
Yeah.
seem fast, they seem disciplined, they seem more aware of what is being asked of them. They seem more confident on the field, and I don't know that I love LSU in this moment yet, but I like them a lot right now. And you look at Florida's schedule and
Dude, I
the
just pulled it up.
sloppiness continues.
I just pulled it up.
How are you going to get right against these next teams?
I just pulled it up. I mean, you lose to USF. That's one thing. USF got mauled.
Yeah.
By Miami. Long weather delay.
That's a team I may love right now. Yeah.
Yeah, we can circle back to Miami at some point here before the end of the show. But you go on the road, you lose to LSU. We always knew this was going to be a tough game. They were about a touchdown underdog. But on deck now, on the road at Miami, home against Texas, on the road against Texas A&M in a very weird way.
Well, hold on. On the road against Texas is not the worst thing ever right now. Continue.
No, I'm saying home against Texas.
Oh, excuse me. Home
on the
against
road
Texas
at Texas A&M.
Yes.
And what I was going to say is exactly your point. In a weird way, the home game against Texas may be the most winnable of those three.
Yeah.
But either way, that's a really tough 3-game stretch for a team that's 1-2, for a coach that is scraping and clawing and trying to hold on to his job, and for a team that I think right now is hanging on by a thread. A ton of talent, a lot to like, but the slop is not going to help them against a schedule like this. There's just no way. They were really sloppy a week ago. Too many turnovers tonight. You keep playing like this against the remainder of the schedule. I mean, you get a little bit of a break, I guess, after Texas A&M, but even Mississippi State has been playing pretty well, all things considered. Then you get to the second half of your schedule where you're playing teams like Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. You close out the year at home against Florida State. So there really are very few breaks on this thing. If you got that much slop in a week-to-week basis, that's a real issue.
Wow, separately, LSU's schedule. At Ole Miss, at Vandy, they have South Carolina. We'll see what Lenora Sellers' situation is in a few weeks. A&M, at Bama, and at Oklahoma. There's just so much entertainment ahead. I can't wait.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The early entertainment today was Clemson against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Now, this game was going on while you were at the Portable Stadium watching Oregon Northwestern, right?
Yeah. That's the official name. It's just the Portable Stadium. I think it's Martin Stadium.
Martin Stadium, that's right.
Yeah.
So you watch your Oregon Ducks get the dub.
Yep.
But while you were doing that, we were online. We were watching this game between Clemson and Georgia Tech. And I got to tell you, I mean, talk about setting the tone for the entire week. This was an awesome game. This was an awesome game. So if you didn't watch it, you got to go back and watch it. You especially got to watch the end. It was a little bit like an NBA game where like the last 10 minutes were the most exciting. But Georgia Tech ends up winning this on a walk-off 55-yard fire drill field goal. And what I mean by that is they were out of timeouts. They ran a play. They talked about it on the broadcast, and a good job to those who were working the game, calling it out, saying this is something that Georgia Tech's been working on. They've got their special teams lining the sidelines. They're ready to run out at a moment's notice, and that's exactly what they did. So they run a play. The clock is running. The special teams unit storms the field. Kicker, snap spot, kick up from 55. It hit midway up the net. It would have been good from 70. It was incredible.
Yes.
How much boot he got on that thing. So it wasn't pretty, but it was something that I think you would be very proud of, given your one rule of life, which is doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work.
Just needs to work. And you're only as comfortable as your feet are. And I guess Georgia Tech and their kicker, that's some comfortable feet if you're making that at the end. Good job.
This is an incredible win for Tech. Tech built the entire plane out of Haynes King.
Yeah.
Which was not a surprise. We expected that. But they mixed in enough with the motion, with the thread of the pass. It felt like Clemson was constantly on its back foot while playing defense.
Yeah.
Which kind of caught me off guard. You know, I thought for sure it would be telegraphed that it was going to be a Haynes King show, and it was. But based on the ways that they were mixing things up and providing different looks, it never really felt like Clemson was able to zero in on anything.
Right.
And just when they got a little bit of momentum, Georgia Tech would find another way to break a play. I don't want to jump the gun here. And clearly everything depends on Haynes King staying healthy the rest of the way.
Right.
But based on like what we saw today, this version of Georgia Tech, look at their schedule, Dan.
Schedule's pretty great. I did.
They're better than everybody on this schedule, maybe with the exception of Georgia at the end of the year. But we're looking at Wake, Virginia Tech.
At NC State's a little bit scary,
Duke,
in my opinion.
Syracuse, at NC State. I really like where NC State's at. Boston College and Pitt. We can take the Pitt thing that I had. We can throw that right out the window. That's fine.
It's still mid-September. These teams can improve over the course of the
Everybody
season.
can improve. Nobody's a finished product at this point. But
Right.
if we're going to make snap judgments after week 3, you got to, again, a lot depends on putting Haynes King in bubble wrap.
Correct.
That's why what they did last week was actually brilliant, to try and give him an extra week of rest, because so much is reliant upon what he can do out there. But man, look at the schedule. Their conference schedule right now, they're better than all of these teams. And that's not even a question in my mind.
They're 3-0. If they finish less than 10-2, you just have to assume, unfortunately, there's something with Haynes King's health. I think.
I mean, I think that's fair. That's fair. By the way, I'm officially off the Clemson bandwagon now. I don't know if I can say that here.
Number one team in America.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm off. I'm off the bandwagon.
You're telling me this Clemson team, these past few years, that has been fine to pretty good, but loses games to the quality and good teams they play with a good amount of consistency, is just fine, but loses games to the good quality teams on their schedule. They haven't changed. This is exactly who they were.
It is, and I think that's the most frustrating part, because I'm watching this offense and I'm thinking, is this a Clemson 2024 cover band that I'm watching here?
Yeah, they didn't stop the run last year. Ding dong. What are they doing wrong this year? Like, same stuff.
But I'm talking more about the offensive side.
Sure.
You know, there were 3 big plays. There was a
running back. Yeah.
73-yard touchdown catch and run, Bryant Wesco. There was a 33-yard pass to Josh Sapp. Then there was a 30-yard run by Adam Randall.
Yeah.
If you take those 2 longer passes out, Cade Klubnik was a hair over 4 yards per attempt. Credit to Tech. I thought they looked good on defense, or better on defense anyway than they've been. But again, if you're Clemson, and as I have been touting since friggin' July, a playoff caliber, whatever, team, offense, defense, doesn't matter. You got to look better than that. You just got to look better than that. So I'm out. Well,
look,
I can't
here's the actual
anymore.
good news. Before you're fully out, they beat Troy. Okay, there's your feather. They lost a non-conference game, so they only have 1 conference loss in this moment. It's a long season. They can have a not crazy impressive record and still end up in the ACC championship game, still back way into it the way they did last year, and win the ACC just like they did last year. They can still do that. And then once you're in, who knows?
The ACC could well end up being a demolition derby, just like every other conference is going to be. Maybe not the Big Ten, but I think the SEC is headed down that path. The Big 12 never got off that path. And there was always potential in the ACC if a couple other teams stepped up. But I think we have that this year. And certainly Tech is going to be in the mix for that. Clemson not fully out at this point, but at least the early indicators aren't promising and pointed in the right direction. Can I just bring up one other thing here?
Sure.
Real quick before we go on and talk about some other games. I don't know if our Verballerhood out there had the pleasure of watching this game or really watching any game in week 3 where we started to see a little bit more of the interaction between the head referee and the command center on these video replays.
Right.
There were 2 moments in this Georgia Tech Clemson game that were friggin' awesome. And they have managed to do almost the impossible by putting the audio of this available on the broadcast.
Yeah.
The first is they humanized the refs, which I didn't think anybody knew how to do.
Did a good job. Yeah.
And the second is they actually make it a little bit more tolerable when the instant replays take forever. You hear what's going on behind the scenes. You feel like you're part of it. I posted a video about this, Dan. This is like the biggest innovation in my mind in college
really
football
smart
broadcasting since the 1st and 10 line.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I love that they're doing this. Kudos to whoever came up with the idea because it definitely adds to the broadcast and it takes away from some of the dead air.
Yeah, we like transparency here.
Absolutely. Where do you want to go next?
Okay, where should we go next? We could do Bama, Wisconsin. We could do what am I blanking on? I think we should go. USF has been like a team, a story these past couple weeks. They got shredded.
They got drilled.
Absolutely drilled by Miami, who looks to be one of the 2 or 3 best teams, if not higher. They might not be number 3.
No. Hey, I was wrong about the Canes. I'll admit it. I feel like I was wrong. I know it's still early, and
it's still early.
Miami is not always the most reliable partner when it comes to
investments,
close game situations, you name it. But at least with the way that they have started this year, 49-12 was your final score against USF. There was a lengthy weather delay in this one, but Miami was dominant. And like, it wasn't perfect. There were 2 picks for Carson Beck, but the defense completely took away Byron Brown and his ability to do anything on the ground. They kind of forced him to be a quarterback. And they also bullied USF on the ground. They ran for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So they played their game. They didn't really have to go outside themselves to contend with USF. My hunch is they had plenty of tape. They knew what they were up against. And I thought it was a really smart defensive game plan by Corey Heatherman to go out there and, again, contain the biggest playmaker who got some of his through the air. I mean, he's still going to make plays.
Right. His connection with Chaz Nimrod, especially early, was impressive.
But I think so much of what he brings to the table is based around his ability to scramble. And Miami just didn't let him do it. He had 13 carries for like 2 yards, something of that nature. It just really wasn't a breakout performance for him on the ground. And that's what they needed, USF, in order to maybe get a 3rd straight upset. So I give Miami a lot of credit here. This is a resounding win in a big spot, a bigger spot than you would expect, especially with a big spot in state on the road at Florida next week. Kind of getting big
Miami's home against Florida.
Home against Florida, excuse me, getting big in the window.
They're on the road against Florida State the following game. Here's the like pump the brakes, just like a scotch tie.
Yeah.
They beat South Florida 50-15 last season. Okay. Yeah. Things got a little bit more real when they got into the wild cards within the ACC schedule. And so they came into this game being 35 points better. So I don't see those teams on the ACC schedule in this moment, other than, I guess, Florida State. But I don't know. NC State's at home. SMU looks like a different team on defense this season. Had another slow start this week against Missouri State on the road. Did I see that correctly? SMU went to Missouri State?
Yes.
But there is something about the way Miami's flying around, especially if they can stay healthy up front, which was an issue last season, because Ruben Bain looks like he just wants to destroy you and then hunt your dreams after. Yes, exactly. They look terrific. You know, if Carson Beck can limit the mistakes, through a little bit high, you know, just I'm not terribly worried, because if they're playing teams that are comparable to USF, they should do this all season long. The Florida State game will be fascinating. It's on the road, but Miami definitely looks the part right now.
What about the Pitt Panthers, Dan?
Oh, this game was pure chaos. I loved it.
Oh, God, another one. Another one
Rod
falls
played
by the
3
wayside.
quarterbacks. Yeah.
This was not a great week for some of my preseason predictions. I got to be honest with you. We had Pitt. We had Clemson. There are others which we could discuss here as we go through this. But the Pitt game was chaos, wasn't it?
It was just everything that could go right or wrong for these teams in terms of turnovers, explosion plays, working in different players at positions, whatever it is that's growing under Eli Holstein's nose. Like, there was just a lot going on. Apparently, Pat Narduzzi switched to a hat from a visor.
Yeah.
It was just a very chaotic environment. Terrific shirts, as always, in Morgantown. This was a perfect backyard brawl. It was absolutely perfect. The exchange of leads, going to overtime.
Yeah.
It was. I'm positive neither of these teams are all that good, but perfect together. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
No, I mean, look, I should have known better than to lock up Pitt in the backyard brawl.
Right.
We've been doing this show since 2008. You would think I would have learned that lesson by now, but alas, I did not. I locked up Pitt. I didn't know what I was betting on with West Virginia.
Yeah.
But again, you throw the records out in a rivalry. Doesn't matter. Logic kind of goes by the wayside, and this ended up being a really, really good game. It went to overtime. West Virginia won 31-24. Another one of these situations where I am watching. Obviously, I had a rooting interest in Pitt.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had a betting interest in Pitt. If you saw any of my Twitter postings, I think I went 0-5 today. It was not a good week for me at all.
Nope.
But that being said, I'm just waiting for Pitt to have this moment. I'm waiting for Pitt to show what I thought I was going to see when I did my preseason predictions, and I had Pitt in the ACC title game. We never saw it. Des Reed got hurt. He was out for a chunk of this game. Eli Holstein, there was only so much he could do on his own. Still a good quarterback, but it's a flawed team. It is not the team that I expected to see. And credit to West Virginia, man. Credit to Rich Rodriguez avenging that 13-9 loss from back in 2007. After that, he left and went to Michigan and ended up going a bunch of other places. Now, obviously, he's come full circle. This is a big moment for him and a big moment for West Virginia. If you're a West Virginia fan, I think you know that this is like not a finished product. You just lost your best player a week ago to an injury.
Right.
But the fact that they're playing hard, the fact that they're still winning rivalry games against at least a decent enough bowl team in Pitt, that's meaningful if you're a West Virginia fan. It doesn't matter how pretty it looks. It's just, again, does it work? And it did. 31-24. So good for them.
Did you have Kansas State in your Big 12 championship game?
I also had K-State. It's funny you should mention another one. Yeah.
It's a Dublin curse for Kansas State. A Friday night Dublin curse continues.
Oh, my gosh. The Kansas State game, man. To our credit, we both had Arizona.
We did have Arizona.
We had Arizona because early indicators on the K-State side were not promising, right? Everything was pointed in the direction of, hey, they don't got this figured out at all.
Right.
What's going on with this team? We don't know. So we knew that. But I just felt like this game here was just so much worse than I expected. You should be able to move the ball a little bit better on Arizona than what we saw. Avery Johnson needs to be better. Everything about this team needs to be better. I watched a good chunk of this game. The defense, the tackling.
Yeah.
Some of the basic stuff I think that we've come to lean on with K-State just wasn't there. It just feels like a very broken team at this point.
Arizona might be decent. Defense has been good this year. And Avery Johnson is who he's showing everybody he is. He can improve. He can evolve. But in the present tense, this is what we're working with this season with Kansas State. And it's very disappointing to those of us outside of the Kansas State universe who had high hopes for entertainment this year. And I think you're right. They're a pretty broken team right now.
They're a broken team.
By the way, and the Arizona running back's really good. I think Mahdi
Oh yeah,
Really
I have
fun.
him down as one of our dudes here when
Yes,
we get to do the
absolutely.
awards a little
Really
bit
fun.
later. But Arizona came in here with a really good game plan, and
Yes.
Kansas State just really did not have it. And it wasn't a blowout or anything of that nature, but it really felt like Kansas State was struggling. They've continued to struggle throughout the course of the season. They're 1-3 now. Their only win is over an FCS team in North Dakota. It'll be interesting to see which direction the season goes from here, because this was not a promising endeavor here that we saw earlier in the week.
If I may, just while we're on Friday night,
Yeah.
if I can take a sip out of the chalice that's holding my hate nectar, all of the comments about UCLA helping to destroy West Coast football so they could play in front of 284 people while they get smashed by New Mexico. Oh my God, the sweetness on my lips, Ty.
New Mexico scored 21 unanswered in the fourth quarter, and
Yes.
they won going away. They had 13 more minutes of possession. They ran for almost 300 yards. They had 3 touchdowns on the ground. I dropped into a few UCLA conversations out there.
By the way, the Big Sky Conference dunked on UCLA.
The Big Sky dunked on them. I did see that.
Whew.
I dropped into a few other conversations among UCLA folks out there.
Yeah.
Some of whom were calling this the most embarrassing loss in the history of the program.
Go
and
Big.
I think for me, it's not so much that they're losing, it's the ways that they're losing, right? Blown out against Utah.
Yeah.
First week of the season. Blown out early last week against UNLV. Came back, was closer down the stretch.
Yeah.
And then blown out late this week. So they've kind of had it on all sides, right? The full blowout for 4 quarters, the first half, the second half, not to mention 27 penalties over the last 2 weeks, Dan, which is ridiculous. I think we can officially declare that the UCLA job, maybe alongside the Virginia Tech job, will be open for business.
I agree.
When the coaching carousel decides to spin back up. This situation certainly out in Westwood is not a good one. 35-10 was your final at home against New Mexico.
Correct.
We can talk about that Virginia Tech game too, if you want.
I don't especially want to, because we have the opportunity to speak about Trinidad Chambliss.
Oh, yeah.
Name the starter, Ferris State, as we were told many, many times during this broadcast. The electric quarterback from Ferris State.
Right.
Somewhere in Michigan. I looked it up. It's in Big Rapids, Michigan. Not Grand Rapids, Big Rapids.
Big. Not quite as grand, but still big.
Correct. Ole Miss beat Arkansas in a game that I think we correctly labeled as 100% for sure going to be entertaining.
Yes.
I don't remember. What was the final spread? I know you took Arkansas on the points.
Yeah, it was. I believe the final spread, at least when I grabbed it earlier in the day, was Arkansas plus 6.5, and they lost by 6. So I went 1-4, which is good because the goose egg is never that exciting. But yeah, a lot of points in this game, at least early.
Early on. Yeah, in the first half, a ton of points. He's electric. Austin Simmons came in a little bit. Taylon Green looked really good for stretches in this one. But, yeah, that Arkansas defense just got shredded. There was a ton in this game as well.
Yeah, almost hit the over in the first half. It was a Taylon Green show for Arkansas, as you said, but they struggled to stop Ole Miss when Ole Miss had the ball. And Trinidad Chambliss was great.
Yep.
Accounted for 3 touchdowns, 1 through the air, 2 on the ground. I believe Austin Simmons did come in on one leg and threw 1 pass for a touchdown.
Yes. Short one, yeah.
You can make a case this was the most fun game of the day. And there were a bunch of fun ones, but this one had a little
Tennessee,
bit of
Georgia
everything
is probably
too.
my answer. But yes, in terms of the just like who knows what's going to happen. Yes, I think this is up there. Harrison Wallace, your guy. Another nice game for Ole Miss.
Yes,
Just gets
Trey
more
Wallace.
fun once you leave that Penn State passing offense. Yeah.
And one other SEC game here, and then maybe we could just do a quick whip around of some of the other conference stories that
love to
got us going. Vanderbilt 31 on the road over South Carolina, who had 7. Now, Lenora Sellers got hit in the head, left in the second quarter, did not return. It was all Vandy from that point forward. South Carolina had 4 turnovers. Again, Luke Doty was playing quarterback. It was not necessarily a great showing by anyone on the South Carolina offensive side of things. Vanderbilt's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah? How so?
We had the conversation on one of our episodes earlier in the week about AP polls and rankings and things of that nature. Vanderbilt was not ranked in the last poll. I'm curious to see when we do our Verballer top 12 poll, how excited people are about Vandy. I don't know if Vandy's a top 12 team. My guess is no. I'm not going to put them in the top 12.
Right.
But I am curious to see how many people in our Verballer top 12 decide that they want to, because you can certainly make a case for it, right? To your point from the Tuesday episode that we did earlier in the week, you want the flexible poll, yeah?
I do.
The limber poll, as you call it.
Absolutely. I want fluidity.
Early part of the season, these things should change a lot. As we get more information, you should be willing to move teams up or down liberally.
Yes.
Vandy is one of those teams now. Vandy's look good. They've gone on the road. They've won big games. Virginia Tech.
I'm docking them for losing at halftime to Virginia Tech. That's inexcusable.
You win in Lane Stadium. You win in Williams-Brice. These are tough places to go and win. And in both cases, these were runaway trains.
Yeah.
These weren't close affairs. So I give them a lot of credit. I give Diego Pavia credit. I give Clark Lee credit. Again, this is a veteran team. They had the most returning production of anyone in the SEC. So what they're doing maybe shouldn't be that big of a surprise, but it's still a little bit awkward to see Vandy in the winners column,
right?
Because we're so used to them being a relative doormat in college football.
Yeah, I kind of think we can start ignoring returning production a little bit more based on some early season stuff. But there's the line of thinking that the more returning production you have, the more guys who aren't quite good enough to get drafted you have. So Vandy played and dominated in the exact way that they need to, which is possessing the ball, making fewer mistakes, hitting on the third and fourth down moments better than the team they're playing.
That's right.
And yeah, the moment when Lenora Sellers did get targeted, it was very strange because the refs went to the next play. The next play unfolds, and as it's unfolding, they blow the whistle in the middle of a Nick Harbor wide open for probably a big play reception.
Yes, correct.
And Shane Beamer, understandably so, popped his top. Absolutely lost it. I get it. It was just the refs handled that sequence in a very poor way, in my opinion. But yeah.
There's two quick ones here that I just want to go through on the SEC side, and then I want to move on to a different conference. I'm not going to mention all of the games. We will, again, unpack more of what transpired in week 3 on the Tuesday episode.
And we'll get more thoughts on Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Continue.
No, we're done with that. No. Alabama wins by 24 at home over Wisconsin. And Texas kind of struggled with UTEP.
Yeah.
On the Alabama side, I don't know how much of this game you watched. This was never close. I
watched it after the fact, yeah.
Notably now, Alabama has beaten Wisconsin by an 80-24 score over the last 2 years. Never close. It's like a pro golfer shooting a bogey-free round. It was just no stress, ever.
Right.
We should probably start monitoring Ty Simpson a little bit more at this point. Ty Simpson's been very good over the last 2 weeks of the season. I pulled out a stat that he and Mac Jones are now the only two quarterbacks in Alabama history to complete at least 80% of their passes and throw 3 touchdowns in consecutive games. In this one, he was 24 of 29 for 382 and 4 touchdowns. Didn't have much of a ground attack. Didn't really matter when you're throwing for 382. They were really, really good in this game. It's not a huge surprise. What is a huge surprise, at least on some level, and maybe it's just because I'm used to Wisconsin being something different, but they're just not competitive. They're not competitive in these games right now.
No, down their starting quarterback in this one, but
Right.
no, they don't have the playmakers. They don't have the depth. They don't have the star power on the lines, on each of the lines to compete with what Alabama has. Yeah, it actually echoed a little bit of what Kalen DeBoer did at Washington a couple years ago, in that they were ignoring the run for large swaths, although they got better attacking on the ground when it mattered later on in the season in 2023.
Yeah.
I thought Ty Simpson was great. I thought he played much more confidently than he did. I thought they were much more dialed in on offense. Obviously, the passing attack was what led this game. That said, red zone situations, short yardage situations, bleeding clock situations, in any close games they might have, I still think you got to figure out how to run the ball if you're Bama.
Yes.
I know they've dealt with injuries there, and the offensive line was a wreck against Florida State. I am of the mind that Alabama still will only go as far as how complete this team is. And right now, it's not a complete team. It can be an excellent team. Super impressed with Ty Simpson and the passing attack. But that's the one thing that I look at and I was like, you guys got to figure this out pretty quickly.
What's the deal with Texas?
Texas. Arch Manning is, in the present tense, not especially impressive, which is weird. I think he started the season based on very little as the Heisman favorite, or one of the Heisman favorites. Texas was, I don't know if it was him specifically, but Texas's offense and offensive efforts and execution was booed in DKR. They got the announcer college basketball thing where haven't scored a field goal in 5:44. It's now been 10 consecutive incompletions for Arch Manning was something that was brought up during this game. He looked off. There was, speculation that maybe he's beat up and injured and he's not planting or throwing correctly. I don't know, man. This offense, the line hasn't been good. He has been off. The mistakes he's making, rolling out one way, then going the other way, throwing across his body.
I saw the one across his body in the end zone.
Oh. He's making freshman mistakes. This is his third season. They were bad on third down. Look, they beat UTEP, but this is the defense putting him in position to do so, getting some explosive plays. But Texas is being measured as how complete a team can you be to win the SEC after going to the championship game last season. And I don't even know if he's the best quarterback on this roster. He's been there for 3 years, and it's early. He can improve. He can evolve. He can develop. We're 3 years in.
No. I don't know. It'll be something interesting to chart. Let's go over to the Big Ten real quick.
Yeah.
You were at the Oregon Northwestern game. My friends were texting me watching this one saying that Oregon's going to be a problem. These are Penn State people.
Yeah.
Oregon's going to be a problem. How did you feel about the Oregon performance you saw today with your own eyes?
I thought it was good. It's a weird stadium. It's a weird setting. It's a very arrhythmic experience because they were on Big Fox and they were going to commercials every 90 seconds because they tried to jam them all in the first half because they knew that's the only half people were going to be watching in this game after Northwestern started the way that they did.
I was watching the second half because of that backdoor cover. Didn't like that, but whatever.
They look good. Dante Moore looked good. It rained all morning and then let up. The running backs looked good. A freshman had a long run. The receivers looked good. The defense got better. I mean, when they had their rotation players in on defense on all three levels, I think they were up 31-0. So I guess it's a bad break for people who gave those points, but it could have easily been 45-3 or something if they decided to play those guys. They took out Dante Moore with 10, 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So they wanted to get backups and third stringers, whatever, more run. But Oregon looked good. And they're said they have Oregon State this coming week and then the Penn State game, which looms large.
Speaking of Penn State and speaking of the group chat right now is wondering whether Penn State is playing vanilla offense on purpose to not give too much away.
Yeah, Trevor Pena's dropping third down catches on purpose.
And I shudder upon reading these messages because we mentioned the same thing last year, right? The same thing last year around this time was, what are we thinking here? What are we thinking? Is this getting better? Is this staying stagnant?
Right.
When are we going to see some of these wrinkles? I feel like we waited a good long time. We never really saw the wrinkles. Andy Kotelnicki will find some way to, I think, do something different against Oregon. I think that's a fair assumption, but
Penn State has a bye this coming week.
Penn State going into a bye. I joked online that they played like they were already on bye. I didn't think it was a good showing. They ended up winning by like 46 points. It was much better in the second half than in the first, but it's, I think, continuing an unfortunate trend that we've seen out of them in the early part of the season where it just feels like they come out flat each week. I want to see them go out there. If they truly are going to be a national title caliber team, they got to go out there and they got to rip arms and legs off, and they're not doing that quite yet.
Right.
Doesn't mean they won't by the end of the season. It is a long season, and there's plenty of runway here, but that Oregon game looms pretty damn large. And I would have liked to see a little bit more effort, a little bit more aggressiveness in a game like this.
They ran well. It seems to be the passing game. Is there like a specific week Tyler Warren's coming back, or is that like still TBD?
Yeah.
I assume that's what they're just, biding their time for.
Yeah. I don't know.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right. I don't know if they're beating Oregon, but they'll be all right. I don't know if they're winning the Big Ten. They will be all right. They'll win their double-digit games somehow, some way. It'll either be 10, 11, or 12. I don't know.
We'll see.
Defense looks good.
Michigan won by 60. Bryce Underwood looked incredible. And it was no Sharon Moore in this one. We had some people call in and say, hey, they look better without Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not getting involved in that, but
played some biff ball. Yeah.
You win by 60, you'll take it. We also had a win for USC on the road after a 3-hour weather delay against Purdue. Had a nice little fat guy touchdown in this one, Dan. Jamal Jarrett. Tips the scales at 360. Rumbly, bubbly, stumbling.
Yep.
70-yard interception return for a touchdown. You'll take it.
USC looked okay. Purdue kind of made this a game late.
Kind of.
It was what? It was 30-17 in the fourth quarter. Yes?
Yeah.
So USC scoring like 70 points a week, scored 26 points on offense against Purdue.
Yeah.
Okay. USC's good. They're really good. They will continue to be so. I don't know if this was like a weird feeling of going on the road and like the malaise of sitting around waiting for the lightning delay, but I don't know. Purdue had a spark, it seemed. Drew Brees was in the building. He had his hammer. I don't have much to say about this. I really like USC's receivers. Jaden Mayava continues to look really good. USC was making a bunch of mistakes late in this game. Eventually ended a Purdue drive with an interception, but a sloppy defensive finish to this game for SC.
Let's shift gears real quick. Let's go over to the ACC. I'm just going to pull out a couple games here.
Please.
In this order that I found most interesting. The first was Tulane beating Duke. The second was NC State beating Wake Forest. Yeah. And I would say the third for me was what happened with Old Dominion and Virginia Tech.
Right. Stanford's beating Boston College right now, by the way.
And Stanford is beating Boston College. Minnesota is playing Cal. At time of recording, I think they're winning by a 14-10 margin. The Tulane game was fun.
Didn't see much on my schedule.
I need to go back and deep dive the Tulane game a little bit more. Yeah. Because I want to give it its due. I feel like Tulane is a team that we need to pay very close attention to now, given where the G5's at, especially with USF losing in the manner that they did to Miami. It feels to me, it has felt to me like it's probably Tulane's to lose. As soon as Boise went down, that's kind of where I was going with this. So I need to look a little bit more at this, but Tulane had a pretty big lead in this game. Duke ended up coming back a little bit later. There was a lot on Darian Mensah to see what he could get done. Duke outgained Tulane from what I can tell, but it was more a thing of Tulane just being more efficient. And they had the lead. Duke came back, credit to them. But, this is a situation where Tulane knows now that there's blood in the water. There's something to play for. Jake Retzloff was a dude. This game had a really, really good game, 4 rushing touchdowns. So I think a lot to be excited about if you're a Tulane fan.
Agreed.
Right now. NC State, man.
Well, Wake Forest started really nicely in this game.
Wake Forest started off, I think, winning 14-0.
Yeah.
But then NC State rips off 20 unanswered in the final, 31 minutes or so. Wake ended up fizzling with 44 yards in the second half. This was a career effort from Hollywood Smothers, the running back on NC State's side. above all, my takeaway really in the ACC is that you shouldn't sleep on either of these teams because NC State's looked pretty good so far. It's their first 3-0 start in like 3 years.
Yep.
And Wake's going to be plucky. They're going to take somebody. They might take like an SMU out. I could totally see that. They were way better than I expected. They've been better than I've expected so far in the early part of the season.
Fair.
And then to close things out in the ACC, Old Dominion 45, Virginia Tech 26. Brent Pry, I think, is toast.
I think that's it, man. You know, pending like their buyout finances, it doesn't seem like something you can bounce back from. I guess they're what, 0-3 in this moment?
Yeah.
Look, you rip off 9 straight somehow, some way, but if you're not ripping off 1 straight against ODU, all due respect to the Monarchs, of course, in the former Penn State Assistant Bowl, right? The Ricky Ronnie, Brent Pry Bowl. It's not looking good. And also, like, the sidebar about Virginia Tech is maybe it's a school where Frank Beamer was uniquely able to succeed and hit the like 2000s and like pre-Clemson window really, really well, hired really well, developed systems really well, recruited really well. And Virginia Tech is just not going to be that program that's going to be consistently good to really good. Like,
oh, no. This was
he didn't end his
though.
career well. He ended his career as a 7-5 coach pretty consistently.
This is embarrassing, though. And they've got better players than Old Dominion. There's no reason they should be losing 45-26. At one point, they were down 31-0 about 5 minutes into the third quarter.
Right.
That's inexcusable. I think Brent Pry's got to be done. I just don't see any way around it.
Well, I mean, it just sort of speaks to the locker room being done, which means he's done. Yeah.
Let's round things off here by talking about the Big 12. Houston beat Colorado. Quote from Deion Sanders, "We're not struggling. We're getting our butts kicked."
Okay.
They did start Ryan Staub at quarterback, but he struggled.
Yes.
I think especially in the second half, he struggled. He had 2 key interceptions. Houston just controlled the clock. They capitalized on turnovers. They got a really good game out of Connor Wigman. I thought they called a really good game for Connor Wigman. It seems like they're calling the offense around his skill set. I was encouraged by what I saw on the Houston side. 36-20 was your final. Willie Fritz is doing it again. He's just smart. He knows what he's doing.
This team went, I think, 4-8 last year.
Yeah.
In his opening, 3-6 in the Big 12. Look, they're going to build into something somewhat dangerous, and that's great news for the Big 12.
My only other Big 12 note, mindful of the fact that there are some games going on right now. One in particular, the Texas State, Arizona State game. But Iowa State struggled with Arkansas State. This is one that you called. And I was a week early because I liked Arkansas State just generally because I think they have a pretty good offense. It wasn't like this was an offensive explosion by the Red Wolves or anything like that. But 24-16 was your final. There was an all-time phantom holding call that negated a go-ahead touchdown for Arkansas State in the fourth quarter.
Oh,
truly didn't even touch the guy, and they called a holding penalty on this one. The Iowa State side of things, like a little too cute maybe on the play calling front. Rocco Beck did a good game. Rocco Beck's been one of the bright spots, but would have liked to have seen more of a killer instinct here.
That's okay. Win your clunkers.
You'll take it, man.
Yeah.
You'll take it.
Next.
We got a bunch of tweets that were sent in to us. We call this section role play.
Role play.
If I'm not me, who the hell am I?
The question we ask people usually around 9:30 on a Saturday night is, I'm a blank fan, and right now I'm feeling blank. Tyler says, I'm an Iowa State fan. I feel relieved. There we go. I'm a Florida fan. I'm feeling weird. This game is stupid. I'm a Florida fan. I feel like we got Freaky Friday'd with Florida State. I'm a USC fan. Right now I'm feeling relieved. We won a game east of the Mountain Time Zone. Hey.
That's true.
I'm a Texas fan. I'm worried. I am a Colorado State fan. I'm feeling thankful for a bye week. There we go. I am a Miami Hurricanes fan. I'm feeling like finally, after years, we can dominate an inferior opponent and not make it a nail biter. It's an early part of the season right now to be declaring things like that. But nonetheless,
Sure.
I'm a Georgia Tech fan, feeling damn good. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm watching Brian Van Gorder coach my team's defense again. Oh, my gosh. Don't ever say that again.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we had many of these. I'm a Hokie fan. I am furious as hell.
Did we not get any North Texas people ripping apart the Cougs?
On that note, Dan, I was the one that cut up our week 3 reverbs.
Ooh, vintage tie drop coming in.
A vintage tie drop. I tried to do this during the Notre Dame game, so forgive me if it doesn't quite have the flair of the normal reverb segment, but alas, here we go. You mentioned North Texas, Dan. Let's get things started with North Texas.
Yes.
It's only halftime, but it's 42-3 for UNT. Go Mean Green!
Hey, it's Ben from Tucson.
This is Mason from Jensen Beach, Florida.
It's Jimmy in Ann Arbor.
Hey, this is Andrew from Atlanta.
Hey, this is Caleb from Albuquerque.
But is the backup better than the starter? Tyrone may just have a Biff Bogey problem.
Just wanting to thank the UCLA Bruins for some lovely hospitality, which included our first P4 win since 2008 and $1.2 million.
Iowa State fan, you know what they say, when you're... Sorry, I thought I was going to throw up there.
I would like everyone to please back away from Haynes King. Sir, please stop touching Haynes King. Okay, give him space.
I don't normally like Yellow Jackets. They live all around here and they sting. But damn, 55-yard buzzer beater.
Just finished storming the field of Bobby Dodd. Way to go, Buzz.
Is Dabo Swinney the Nick Saban of Mike Gundy's?
You Google the KSU football roster, the first result you're going to find is Kennesaw State. They're down 3-0.
What's that sound? I hear it come out of Morgantown. Is that Country Roads?
And so now that series takes a hiatus until 2029 when, according to current medical guidance based on age, I'll need a colonoscopy. And that's kind of what watching this game felt like.
You know, I was feeling really down about my West Virginia Mountaineers after losing in Athens to Ohio last week. But once I heard Ty take the Pitt Panthers as his lock of the week, I knew we had hope.
Yeah.
Clemson loses and Pitt loses. The story of week 3 might just be fade Ty.
This is Brian from Lane Stadium. I've seen some stuff. I've never been so sad.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if any of those former NFL players that Coach Prime has on his coaching staff have years of eligibility. So I'm pretty sure those 50-year-old guys that are on that coaching staff would do better than these folks.
Good old Rocky Flop, Tennessee.
You know, someone in that stadium wanted to wear white, but was forced to wear orange. And you know, someone in that stadium wanted to wear orange and was forced to wear white. And they all wanted to win, but they were forced to lose. Kirby Smart is your father.
When the TV showed the look of the Tennessee kicker's face on the sideline before the kick, I knew he was going to miss. I've never been so sure of anything in my life.
Man, I bet Josh Heupel sure is happy he kicked that field goal to go from a one-possession game to sorry, let me check the box score. Yep, still a one-possession game. Yikes.
Mike Bobo should be fired always, all the time. But I think at the end of the game, the Tennessee OC got a little bit of Mike Bobo in him, and that's what won us the game.
Does it look like Tennessee has a little bit of a Kirby Smart problem?
At what point is Heupel going to tip his cap and call Kirby Smart his daddy?
My dearest Dawn, today we were defeated. The Vol Navy couldn't rally the cannons in order to defeat General Stockton. Unfortunately, Dawn, I think this is it. For myself and the Tennessee Volunteers. All my love, Josh Heupel.
Oof.
Brutal if you're a Tennessee fan. I apologize. I can't control these, but
You never want a little Mike Bobo in you, Ty.
no.
Everybody knows that. You never
No.
want a little bit of Mike Bobo in you. By the way, Ty Hildenbrand, a.k.a. Fade Klubnik. Woo! Ty, we got to figure out some sort of like, we got to keep track is what we have to do. Did I even get, I'm bad about my like locks and my home dogs.
You're
and stuff.
bad with
better.
everything. I'm the
I know,
only
that
one
is
that
true.
sticks to it. I put myself out
I know.
there.
Yeah.
You hide behind your little shell over there. It's fine.
See, you have to listen to the very end of the show, the B-sides of the preview show, where I'm like, hey, guys.
Flip the vinyl over. That's how you can, okay.
Flip it over. Listen to
Sure.
the B-sides where I'm like, hey, guys, New Mexico is better than UCLA. I gave you that tidbit at the end.
You did. No, that was good. That was good. I wasn't wrong.
We agreed on Arizona, KSU, yeah.
I wasn't wrong on all of them, but just my locks are just horrible.
But I do like the idea of calling you Fade Klubnik.
You can call me Fade Klubnik as long as I keep fading, man.
Yeah.
I think what's fair is fair. I've been doing this thing the last couple weeks where I talk about weird circumstances.
Yeah.
Usually I pull out 5. Tonight I only pulled out 2. And here's what they were. The first, congratulations to the Mendoza brothers, Dan.
Oh, I did see this. Yeah.
The Mendoza brothers play quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers. I didn't know there were 2 of them. I knew about Fernando. I didn't know about Alberto.
Mendoza.
They set a very specific record, beating the mighty Sycamores of Indiana State by a 73-0 score. You've heard us talk about Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza threw 5 touchdowns in this matchup. Fernando Mendoza's younger brother, Alberto, came in and threw 2 touchdowns. This marks the very first time in FBS history that brothers have thrown multiple touchdown passes in a game for the same team.
So
That's
you are
weird,
basically,
right?
What you're doing is you're highlighting with these stats the very specific Mendoza line.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Just making sure.
Let me take this music up just a little bit more.
Okay.
We talked about the NC State game earlier. Did you watch that? Did you have a chance to go back and watch the highlights?
A little bit, yes.
There was a strange moment in the first quarter, Dan. Smoke enveloped the field.
Oh, yeah, I did see this.
Thanks to a malfunctioning meat smoker in a food truck outside the stadium. But that's not the weird part, okay?
Okay.
The weird part is that somebody at ESPN figured out a way, had the wherewithal to scramble a camera, to get it out there, and to shoot the camera in through the window to catch the chef battling the flames with a fire extinguisher.
It's great. Yeah.
Quote from Matt Barry, "That man's got a fire extinguisher. We'll update you on that one."
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Congratulations, NC State. They won the football game. Those are your weird moments.
Should we get to some dudes?
Always. Let's get to some dude alerts. Dan, we had a bunch that were sent in. What do we got this week?
Baron Morton threw for 5 quadrillion yards. It was against Oregon State, and basically, if you play either of those, people are still calling it the Pac-12, whatever they are. Washington State and Oregon State, you're going to put up some numbers, as did Texas Tech playing Oregon State and North Texas against Washington State. Ahmad Hardy for Mizzou. We sort of skimmed over, but against Louisiana, ran for 250 yards.
On 22 carries.
On 22 carries, average double-digit yardage per carry. Chris Brazel and the connection he had with Joey Aguilar in a losing effort. I don't know if you have that sound at the ready, but he goes for, it was 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, the Tulane transfer, if I remember correctly. Ryan Williams, absolutely a dude for Alabama today. I had down here, Jamal Jarrett for USC with the thick 6. Absolutely a dude. Some of the dudes that were nominated by listeners, Trinidad Chambliss, of course, the entire Virginia running back room. Obviously, Virginia won big. I think it was against Bill and Mary. So not a headlining opponent. John nominated Brent Key. I don't know, man. There's some dudeness to Brent Key.
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with that. Otherwise, I think just looking at what Haynes King did today for Georgia Tech, I think he's earned it even more.
They're going to need to develop a Haynes King clone.
Yes.
That can play football so that they can keep this run going, because he was feeling it by the end of that game. You could tell. They put so much on him. He goes out there, he battles. He's a lot of fun to watch, especially when the offense working the way it did earlier today. But the whole thing is dependent on if he can stay healthy or not.
I would add Mario Craver for Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And Damon Bankston, the running back for New Mexico against UCLA.
As well as Ishmael Mahdi.
Oh, Mahdi, Arizona, yeah.
189 yards, finished with over 200 total yardage in that win over
Hit the edge
Kansas
hard.
State.
Yeah.
There you have it, folks. Hit follow, hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of the episodes. If you are watching out on YouTube, please leave us a comment. Let us know what surprised you the most in week 3. There were a lot of surprising moments, a lot of interesting moments out there. Not just YouTube, really anywhere you can leave a comment. Please feel free to do so. Hit us up, solidverbal@gmail.com. Any of our social feeds, we'd love to hear from you. Get your insight on what you saw, how your team did over this past weekend. We will be back again on Tuesday, but before we get there, if you go on out to verballers.com, you can, of course, vote in the Verballer Top 12 poll. It's going to be interesting this week. I suspect we're going to see a lot of movement. There might be some new teams that are bubbling up and into the top 12. That's going to go live at about 8 a.m. Sunday morning for those who are listening to this bright and early. You can get in on the poll. You got to sign up as a certified or premium Verballer. But very curious to see how people feel about what they saw.
Agree.
Dan Rubenstein, hopefully the next time we speak, you won't be sick.
Oh, my God. Your mouth to God's ears. I would love that. It's been 2.5 weeks right now.
It's been a long road for you, but we'll get there. We'll get there together. Thank you to one and all who are watching us live, staying up late with us because you're college football sickos like Dan and I. We appreciate it. Please make sure that you leave a comment, say hello. We'd love to hear from you. We're happy to have you here in the Verballerhood. And in the meantime, to the hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people listening at home, as always, you know the drill. Stay solid.
Peace.